Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast. My name is Eric Vogel. I'm a real estate investor, mastermind coach, husband to an amazing woman, and often my co-host, Tiffany, and father to two incredible boys. I'm on a mission to help you become a real estate investor and not only achieve seven-figure success like my wife and I did, but to do so with intention, direction, and clarity. If you want to transform your financial and personal goals, become the version of yourself you've always wanted, and reach your dream life ASAP, then you're in the right place. Thank you for deciding to hit that play button today. Now let's begin. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the On Purpose Investor. We are here with another great interview with a guest who is in Europe. Her name is Danijela Saponjic. Danijela is an esteemed Feng Shui and space healing master with over 20 years of experience. As the founder and CEO of Unfolding Space and the Space Healing Method in her School of Spiritual Design, she teaches aspiring practitioners to tap into their intuitive abilities and create balanced spaces. Without further ado, please, let's welcome Miss Danijela.
Hello, Eric.
Hello and good morning, Danijela. It's morning here in America. I know it is evening where you are. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Yes, ma'am. I am very excited to have you as well. When your request came in to join our podcast, we have been on a pathway to making sure that our hyper-intentionality message that we are delivering is paired with a lot of things that help to build a better, stronger, more spiritually aligned person. And it just made sense to bring in someone that is teaching something on spiritual centering and doing something to help people, move forward with intention. So I'm excited for you to tell your story and to tell about what you teach.
I might start like who I am and what I'm doing, and especially how I chose this career, which I did. So I'm a Feng Shui master and space here. And if you do Feng Shui and you go into healing spaces, this is something you would look into. I always say the masters of life, they were the ones who were guiding me my whole life. So when I finished studies at a university here in Munich, I studied business administration. And my goal was to get somewhere into a marketing company or do marketing projects. So this was my life. And as I finished it, I was cut off this road. I couldn't find anything in this field. Nobody wanted me. This is what I felt back then. And I was really devastated. And there was a moment where I was reading an article about clutter clearing the home. If you change something in your space, that your life can change. And I said, this is no way. I don't believe this. And I just put it away. I couldn't believe this. So after things didn't get better, try this out because there is nothing to lose, right? So we had a little apartment back then. Our first son was born. And we decluttered our space. And the thing is, it wasn't messy. Everything was like in fine order, but still we let go of so many things that I couldn't believe that we stored this in our apartment. And 2 days after this, two things happened which really, really changed the direction of our lives. The first one was that we got a new apartment in a much nicer area of the city, which we were like waiting for to be, signed and move away into a bigger apartment. I didn't believe this, but my state of mind back then was not spiritual. And this was my first interaction with things which there is something behind it. And this is how the pathway to Feng Shui opened up. So clutter clearing led me to Feng Shui. And I remember having a conversation with a friend, and she's like, oh, there is a Feng Shui master coming to Munich. You should join. It's like, yeah, okay, let's go. And Eric, I was sitting at this event in this speech, and I was looking at him like I was at a Christmas tree. I was like, oh, this is so good. And I came back home. It was 26. And I told my husband, this is what I want to do. And he said, well, then do it. And I was like, are you really? And he said, yeah. So I think a month later, I did to learn Feng Shui business master back then in Switzerland. And since then, I have been not only practicing Feng Shui and diving deep into this matter because I want to know the mechanics. How does it work? I was always looking to experience Feng Shui in a way which is very individual to them, not to work with things which have to be done or things which we have to place in a corner in order to make our relationship work or something. Because I don't believe, I mean, Feng Shui is 5,000 years old. And when it was developed, I don't believe that the masters had a Feng Shui shop around the corner to buy something to put it somewhere. So there must be something behind it. And this is what I was exploring now for 20 years. And it's a lot of fun.
So the idea of you're not buying something from a feng shui shop. You're not buying something in particular to help bring energy to your space. You're taking things in your space and arranging them in a way that will channel the energy within your space. Now, is that correct?
Yes, you start even one step further. No, not further, before.
Okay.
Looking into your space and really examining what is not in alignment. If you're really conscious about this question, because how often do we just put something somewhere because it's around, or we just bought it and we got a present or whatever, and we just put it around and then we are not thinking about it. But if you take a step back and then examine your space and see what is not in alignment with me, with my energy, with my focus. This is the first thing. Then you take the next step and not only look for things you like right now, but the latest concept I developed, I took the future selfing method, right? It goes like your mind and your visions and everything. Why not create like this? We can say like a 3D vision board, but not by putting some crazy things or I don't know, like pictures or paintings which are not really aligned with us in our space, but creating the feeling of how do I want to feel when I have arrived where I want to go, when I am living my vision. And we can make it really simple by, for example, what's the pen I will be holding and writing, signing my contracts when I'm there where I want to be. I have this little story about crystal glass. I love luxurious things. I really like them. I love them. I love the energy behind it. So when we are at a hotel or a beautiful restaurant, all this beautiful glasses they give us, you know, it serve the drinks. And then I went home and I had these IKEA glasses. Yeah, for children. So you look for something really simple and easy. And then I was thinking, well, why not bring them? So every time when I drink out of my glass, I have this connection to the vision without having to visualize, without having to think about it. Because we think so many thoughts during the day, you know, but if you create an environment, it's going to give you a lot of energy.
I love that. We do in what we teach, we do a lot of trying to visualize where your future is and making sure that our real estate investors that we're trying to reach, that when they do reach this pinnacle of their investing career, when they have the cash flow that they're desiring, they're living in the house they want, they have a rental portfolio, that when they get there, that their life is also in alignment with what that would bring. That way they don't get to where they're going and be unhappy or unfulfilled or, you know, just, I like to call it just full, like spiritually full. That is where, you know, you wake up every day and you're not wanting for other things. You're not wanting for more. You're satisfied with where you live. You're satisfied with who you're with, and you're satisfied with what you do. And that just brings you a fullness. So when you're talking about the visualization, you know, imagining not just that you are successful, but breaking it down even one step further into, I am holding this pen, signing this contract that gets me to this place in my life. And like you said, holding the crystal glasses, you know, you're transported to that vision, and that vision comes to life through by planning on the front end of, you know, I want to be holding this pen. I want to be drinking out of this cup. And I know I will have made it when I'm doing that, but I'm going to see it happening now. And I like to think that when you do that and you visualize that and you are moving in that way, you are manifesting that into reality. And you are manifesting it in a way of, you know, it's the be, do, have mentality. You're being that future version of yourself, and you're visualizing having those things. So I love that you're bringing a way of adapting feng shui into the same ideas. And you're so right. We often just go to the store and buy something and just put it in the room. And we're not really, I mean, I'm looking right now in my studio, and I kind of see there's some pictures that I haven't hung up on the floor over there, and there's a lamp that I kind of just brought down here, and it's distracting, honestly. Like, it's subconsciously distracting, and it's not really bringing like this energy to me of creation and of fullness. So can we speak a little bit more to the art of how does someone know like where to place something? How do we know when it's spiritually and energetically aligned with what we need?
Yes, I believe that we can establish, I believe that every space has a soul, and connecting with our space. Our space tells us, of course, there's so much information about Feng Shui, and I could also dive into what ifs, and through Feng Shui, you should put this here, this there, but there is so much available information about this. I'd rather start at a point of really deep spirituality, which is Feng Shui is a philosophy of life. It's not just how to place the furniture in a space. It's following this Taoist to feel, to hear, feel the energy of the space. So why not tuning into seeing our homes or even our offices as a partner, even as a part of our family? And then I always say, every time when I go leave my home, I say, bye, sweet home, I'll see you tonight. Or when I come home, like, hey, I'm here. Or when we go for holidays, then I tell my home, listen, I'm coming back. Don't worry, we are all coming back. Just, take care that everything is good. So, and when you start doing it, when you come home or with your office, you start getting energy back. It feels like an embrace. And this is so valuable because it's not just walls built around us to protect us from snow and rain and whatever. It's a space where we unfold our lives or our businesses. And even the shift in the mindset of how we see the space where we work and live in is going to shift the energy of your home, even though you haven't touched anything in your home or office, of course.
That's beautiful. My wife is sitting over here, and I told you this earlier. She's sitting down here, kind of listening in. She's like, "Wow!" Like, we've really been diving into the human design stuff, and Tiffany's been doing acupuncture. We've been trying to really, get centered on ourselves and our energy and the things that are in our lives. And I think it was the moment that you said, once you approach your home, not just as sticks and bricks, but as this is an environment of, unfolding. This is the place where you create your family. This is a place where you create your business, and, your ideas unfold and your life unfolds, and it has an energy. And like when you said that, my wife was like, wow. And I was too. It's just, I've often really loved my space in my basement where I podcast and I write, and the family comes down here and we play guitar and we sing. And Tiffany has a beautiful sunroom where she has a lot of windows, and that's her space. She has beautiful little pendants that hang from the windows with stars and stones and moons and butterflies and whatnot. And the sun, it rises over and it hits each little stone differently throughout the day. And that's a very protected space for her, where that's where she is unfolding in herself. And that, what you said just really resonated. And for our listeners out there, I think, and I've seen it happen in our lives, and the way Danijela just said it, make sure the space that you have for the deals that you're making, for the phone calls that you make, for the relationships that you're building, that you give it the attention and the respect so that it can create this energy that will compound and grow. What do you say to those that have negative, experiences in a space that they once loved, and now they have like this love-hate relationship with a space? Like, say a bad conversation happened in my office, and I'm trying to come back into this office and get rid of that bad energy. Is there anything that could be done to eliminate those bad energies?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, when things like this happen, we anchor a feeling with the space. And this is then remembering, oh, this is where it took place. And then I have this bad feeling, which is not always also the bad energy of the space. This is something we need to just take, divide, or what is the right word, Eric? The native speaker. So I have the word in my mind, but so you don't simply have to be energy of the space. So separate. Yes, that's it. This is how I learned English, by the way. When I was an au pair in Philadelphia, I would go on and describe until somebody told me to, and I wasn't writing in my dictionary. So, okay, so let's get back to the topic. So you separate those two feelings. So if you go into a space and you feel your bum, this is the energy of the space. This is where space healing comes in. This is where it's necessary to look into the energy of the property, of the house, what happened there, not only the last 5 or 6 years, but what happened there during the last decade or the last 100 years, because the earth is also storing information. So this is one piece. And the other one is when we have a connection to like a bad experience. Then it's good to see the space. It's blank. A space is always, the energy of a space is like the energy of it's not judgmental. So when things happen in a space where you feel uncomfortable, it's good to see, okay, well, dear space, this and this happened here. How can we resolve it? Go into a short meditation. I have a meditation I have developed it. It says how to connect with the soul of your space. Instead of thinking, what could the space need? When you connect to the soul of the space, your space is telling you what it needs. So maybe you just play high frequency music, or you just put up an altar, or you smudge, or just like feel into it and see what do you need, what does space need. And then I love to make a ritual where you really pull the anchor of the endos and release it for transformation. So there is so much of energy work we can do with the space just through being aware. Just a moment. We don't need rituals ongoing. You just make a decision and the energy flows where attention goes, right? So when you decide what you want to let go and what you want to invite in, your space, the energy of the space is going to follow. This is the reason why it's so important to be very clear on your visions. And this is where we, the space and all the vision work we do on a personal level, where they come together.
So I loved when you said the energy goes where the attention goes, or the energy flows where the attention goes. Was that correct?
Right.
So if we put our attention and our flow of life, like where we're headed, into positive thoughts, positive energy, and have a direction where it's traveling, and we give it those feelings of where it needs to go, and we give it the attention it so desires, and we give it space, and we give it the meditation, and we give it the respect it needs, there's no reason why, the soul of your room, the soul of your space, and everything about you cannot flow as well. So often people get so wrapped up with the day-to-day things of everything that's going on. They got to make the phone call. They got to make the meeting. They've got to clean the house for visitors. They've got to do all this and that. And they get very task oriented. And I think people miss an opportunity to live a little more in alignment with their current position because they're so focused on the tasks. And if people often took moments of self-reflection and moments of reflection for their space and their things and what they're doing, that, like you said, the energy will flow where the attention goes. Give it that attention, give it that rest, give it that meditation, and it will flow. A lot of people don't trust that. A lot of people that they want it now. They want things to happen right now. And there's a huge benefit to delayed gratification, and just give it the healing it needs, give it the space, and then it will take care of itself.
Yes. And, sometimes I know for myself, like I'm also visualizations and very, very much clarity. And yet sometimes there are days where just like, ugh, like just an awful day, right? And then the great thing, if you have set up your space to support your vision, even when you have let's call it just a bad day, where you're just not focused, your space is going to pick you up, right? If you have future self your space, strive away from your vision, you hop back so much faster than when your space is kind of pulling you back because it's still on the same frequency like where you are right now and not where you want to go. So it's a lot about changing also the frequency of the space. And this is, Feng Shui is just expressed in how you furnish your home, what colors you use, what are the items you surround yourself. It's just the expression of the whole Feng Shui philosophy. But Feng Shui works in between your thought and then how it's so much work done before it's seen, before it's expressed in the space.
Yes. So Danijela, I want to ask you about the Feng Shui advantage and how you deliver the message of how to get ahead in business and life. What is the Feng Shui advantage?
Okay, so it depends. In business, so I also work with real estate investors in the United States as well as in Germany. And the benefit for them is very often marketing. That's a very business-oriented benefit. But another one is the consciousness of how you sell the property. Like it's the piece of what you do, how you pay it forward. Doing Feng Shui and healing for the properties which are going to be sold to other people and already there taking care for the buyers or the tenants to be successful is paying forward. It's kind of conscious building, but not in the sense of what materials you use, but what's the energy behind the work piece. Another, when you tap into the power your space is holding for you, then you don't need to have all the energy on your personal level. So you will be more energized, you'll have more focus because your space is working with you and not against you. So these are, from my experience, the biggest advantages you have because you can relax, you just get so much more energy back and you can relax a little bit more.
That's lovely. I love that, so the presentation of the property or the building of the property or the interactions of real estate investors as landlords and the tenants, approaching them with positive energy, that is quite an advantage because you're harnessing positive energy. Like I said, people don't give enough credit to this positive energy thing. I used to think it was, a little woo-woo, but I just see it unfold more and more. I see it deliver more and more, I mean, it's just, the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated. And just and spirituality can come from anywhere. It can come from your religion. It can come from, your belief system, no matter where. And usually they all have a really good message of love people, give people grace, give people unconditional love and grace. So the Feng Shui advantage of that, giving that energy to where you are and the space around you. I don't think it should ever stop with just people, right?
No, it's really, really interesting. This piece of very often Feng Shui is viewed as things don't work. Let's do some Feng Shui and make it work. I can sell a property. Can you do a healing or Feng Shui so that I can sell it faster? Yes, of course we can do it. It's fine, but it's a philosophy of life. It's not like for me, Feng Shui is not, oh, now I'm a Feng Shui expert and now I'm Danijela. No, it's me. And when I cook, it's with me. When I'm with my children, it's with me. When I talk to my clients, it's with me. It's always the philosophy is carrying me. So when I do real estate projects for myself or, well, for my clients too, then Feng Shui is always a piece of it. If they book it or not, I just have to have the Feng Shui view because otherwise it's not complete for me. So it's just much more than just, oh, we have the Feng Shui element or we don't. It's bringing it into the philosophy. You do, and even therefore, Eric, sometimes I'm asked by my students, well, sometimes, Feng Shui, they think it's woo and it's, I don't know how to explain it. I always say, well, it's been around for more than 5,000 years. There must be something about this that it's
Right.
like still around and still used by the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah, I think, that speaks for itself. Whether they want to say it's woo woo or hoodoo voodoo, there's obviously benefits. And if people didn't see the benefits
Hmm.
of it and the ability to grow from it, it wouldn't be in the largest companies in the world.
Hmm.
They wouldn't bring people like Daniela
Yeah.
in to help them harness positive growing energy. It's there. Like you said, it's with you every step of the day. That's a beautiful thing to say, that you have it with you. And I want to get it with me. So I'm going to try to figure it out for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is just one thing which came to my mind, and I'd love just to voice it here. Very
Hmm.
often, especially in the business world, I'm asked like, okay, what's the cost? Like, what is it going to cost me? And it's usually less than 1% of the worth of the property.
Hmm.
So when you think about it, it's around, like, let's say around 1%. And what you create, like everything what we talked about, is going to give you so much more return on investment, but the return will be measured maybe also in dollars or euros, but measured in life quality, in energy, and all the things you get back. I think it's priceless.
I agree. And the more that my wife and I get into spirituality and energy, the more I see this one exercise or this one reading or this one stone may cost $40 or it may cost $100. The energy it provides is never ending.
Mhm.
It grows and compounds. And like you said, so it eventually makes it priceless, because if you allow it to, it can change and shift your whole life's approach to what energy is and how to harness it and how to foster it. And that compounds. And like you said, it becomes very priceless because you unlock so much of
Yes.
your future potential.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Daniela, it has been amazing to hear about what you do in your business, Unfolding Space. I do have our fast five questions we're going to ask you. Our listeners love to hear these answers. So, without anything further, let's dive into the fast five. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs getting started today in regards to their spirituality or feng shui?
To turn routines into rituals,
Could you give
bringing them.
an example of turning a routine into a ritual?
Yes, it starts with doing the routine with more mindfulness and more intention and more energy behind it. It's not just, oh, let's get it done. So I can check it off my list. It's when you're already doing it, why not being mindful about it? Why not setting an attention behind it? It gives so much more quality to the routine you're doing. And it's not like I have to do the routine. It turns into, I can't wait to do my ritual for today.
Mm. So I'm going to give you an example and you tell me if it's right.
Yeah.
So getting the coffee ready for the next day. So it's either I'm going to pour the grinds in, I'm going to pour the water in, I'm going to set the timer. Coffee's going to be ready tomorrow. Instead, approach it as, this is going to be what I am going to love in the morning. It's going to give me life. It's going to give me energy. It's going to propel me into having a positive day. Is that more or less?
Oh, absolutely. Because, especially with food and water and everything, it stores energy. So water stores energy. And when you have your glass and or your glass of water, or you prepare your coffee, and the energy you give to the water and the mindfulness, it will change the structure of the water. And this is what you will then drink the next day. So it's a win-win situation.
That is a beautiful approach to monotonous tasks. Like, you can do that with any task, and it's just a great approach to it to bring more energy to your life. I love that.
Mhm.
All right, number 2, do you have any YouTube or podcast shows, they could be German or English, or you could do both, one of each, that you would recommend to our listeners?
I love to listen to Ellie Brown. She's also a business mentor and a female leader. And I love her because she's completely thinking out of the box. And I love podcasts who are bringing me to think out of the box. Just today, I talked to a lady and I was just referencing to the podcast. I said, in Germany, I dare to say this, what you are doing, for example, Eric, with your podcast, it's for real estate investors, but you bring in people on mindfulness and spirituality. So, and you are creating this new energy, bringing two worlds together and opening up the space for people to look further, to look out of the box and to see solutions in different angles, different views, different perspectives. This is something what I missed a little bit in Germany. And so I'm very excited to really connect with people like you or your podcast. And for example, also Ellie Brown. So she could also talk just about strategy, but she's touching also on so many things which are very valuable for female entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much for that. And I got a little chill when you said that because I'm like, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring real estate investing to this intentional life, design and marry them together. So thank you for that. I got chills. All right. Number 3, if you had to pick one book that you feel has made the biggest impact on your life, what book would that be?
Well, it's The Surrender Experiment from Michael Singer. I don't know if you have read, I guess you have. Probably you haven't. It's, oh my God, yes, please, please do so. Through this book, I have learned that saying yes is just saying yes without thinking about what you want or what your protocol or your conception is can lead you to an amazing, amazing life. Following synchronicities and following coincidences can make a huge, huge difference. You don't have to know how the path is going to unfold. You just should know where you want to go. This is what I learned from this book.
That is lovely. Just so y'all know, listeners, all of the things that we talk about today, any links, any books, any suggestions, those will be in the show notes. All right. I look forward to reading that. Thank you. And number 4, what do you feel has been the secret sauce to your success?
Not take myself too seriously and not believe into the possibilities which are around. So I think I have to just tell a little short story. So I'm a mom of 4 children. My husband and me, we are both entrepreneurs. We are living a really, really crazy, busy life. And we also got a German Shepherd 2 years ago because in case we could get bored, It's so.
With 4 kids, I'm sure your plate's not full.
So I think the secret sauce, because I get asked very often, like, how do you handle it all? Like, I always handle one thing at a time. How do you handle 4 kids? Well, they came one after the other. They didn't come like I didn't have this life from one day to the other. It unfolded itself. And so it was always taking one step at a time and not going into my drama. Oh my God, how I'm going to do it. It's like, okay, that's my life. Let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's not take myself too seriously. And then along the way, I learned to let go of wanting to be perfect and get everything perfectly done. And this was the finesse and the secret sauce.
Yes. I love that. That's a great approach and one of the better answers I've ever heard. I love that. And last question before we wrap things up today, where is the best place for our listeners to get in touch with you to learn more about what you teach?
So it's definitely my Instagram account. This is where I love to be. It's unfolding space en. And then on my website, of course, there are quite some resources where you can connect to me, to my newsletters, and read my blogs and everything else.
Well, amazing stuff today. It was very enlightening to speak to you today about Feng Shui and what you teach. I am super excited to dive in your blog posts and to see how I can bring that into my space, our home, and build a more positive energy experience in the tasks and the environment in which we live. So thank you for sharing today, Miss Danijela. I, on the intro, tried to make sure I said your last name correctly, so I hope it goes well. But I did my best.
It sounded perfect. Thank you so much, Eric, for having me. It was a pleasure being here with you and also sharing. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining us on the On Purpose Investor podcast, where our goal and mission is to get people to live with hyper intentionality to chase their dream life. Thank you for joining us today. We are immensely grateful for you joining us today. If you haven't already done so, we invite you to subscribe to our show. We understand that many of you tune in regularly, but perhaps haven't had the chance to hit that subscribe button yet. Don't worry, it's effortless. Takes about 3 seconds to follow or subscribe on your platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're enjoying the show. Your support is invaluable to us and has played a crucial role in the tremendous growth of our podcast. We sincerely appreciate your assistance in any way, shape, or form. Together, we can launch this podcast to even greater heights.